Bonjour, and welcome to Café with Grace. Nancy Flaherty, founder of Hidden Gems with Grace, has discovered the secrets to shopping in new places like a local, and she's ready to share them with you. She's explored side streets and back rooms to discover the perfect boutique, offering you that item that you will always treasure, your very own hidden gem. She's at the table, eager to tell you about her latest treasure. So grab a cup of coffee or a glass of champagne, and let's hear what she has to say.
Hi, Marie DeGeorge. Thank you for joining me for my podcast, Café with Grace, today.
Well,
it's
good
so
morning.
lovely to speak with you.
Thank you so much for having me. This is new. It's going to be fun.
Yes, very much so. So, Marie, tell us about you and your background. You are a couturier here in Atlanta, correct?
Mhm. I am, yes. You know, I get asked this question a lot from clients who come in, and I always like to say that I am an artist who happens to do couture because my training is really in fine art. I went to an all-girls private Catholic school, and I did go to a fashion school, but my real training really came from there. It was a high level of class in sewing and art, and all of those things are really what I use now. So that's where my training came from, I think. So I'm an artist who does couture, which really couture is an art form. So if you're really a true couturier, you are putting art into every creation that you do with a client. So that's kind of where I got my start. I worked for a designer. I had a lot of initial jobs in window display. I had a time that I did fashion illustrations for a department store. Do you remember when they used to do fashion drawings for their ads?
Yes, right. Rather than photographs.
Yes, I did that. I was in a little cubicle, and they would come in and hang the clothes up, and you'd have to put it on a model, and that would be what was in the paper. So all of those things, including visual merchandising, has been really played into every aspect of what I do now. Because you think of things in a visual aspect, you think of where your client's going. My drawings are a little more realistic because I don't have a store, so no one's coming in to see dresses on a rack. They've got to really trust that my sketch is going to be the finished product. So that's been a great help for me. And then, of course, as you know, there's a lot of art that goes into the pieces. I'm drawing any of the embroidery, I'm hand drawing on the patterns. So it's really an art form in 3D for lovely women. So
right. And it's so tactile, the art that you create in these three-dimensional figures with the embroidery and the lace and the different pieces that you use to embellish your creations. It's really a unique form of art that not many people appreciate.
Yeah, it is. I mean, when you went to Dior, you went to the couture shows, did you? And did you go to any of the workrooms as well?
I did not go to the Dior workrooms, but I've been in a couple of workrooms in Paris where I see exactly what you're speaking of.
Yeah, and I was, it's a really small business that I have in Atlanta, but it's a small business with a high-end product, and I've been really fortunate to have clients from all over. Not as many from here, mostly from people out away and in other countries as well. But as you know, my embroiderers in LA, they follow the true Lesage embroidery technique. And you're familiar with Francois Lesage.
Yes.
The
House of Chanel owns them right now, right? Correct? They saved them from
going under. I'm not really sure. I know they've started a school, which is brilliant because they can continue the tradition. So that's kind of one of my passions. And they that fashion house, they in fact, if you go to my website under the couture story, there's a video showing these women doing the women who've been helping me showing them doing this embroidery technique with the tambour hook. And I mean, they're literally filling in everything I draw with a little hook, whether it's with a bead or a thread. It's an amazing thing. And those women are artisans as well. So it's such a collaborative process. I mean, if you think back to some of the things you and I've done for you, I always say we did it because you're 50% involved. Like you're like my partner in the creation of anything that I do, and they're partners in it. So it's like bringing together a lot of love and passion and creative minds for one piece for a very special occasion that has a lot of energy and love that continues.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's not traditional fashion in that sense. It's really it's more humanistic, maybe.
Yeah, uniquely humanistic. Let's go back to when we first met. I was at a charity auction and saw an opportunity to meet with a couturier and design something special. And I immediately bid like the buy now price, highest bidder. I said, I want this. I'm getting this. And I called you up and we made an appointment to get together. And then when we met, the process began where we talked about who my favorite designers were and talk a little bit about what was I know it was going through my mind and I've written about it, but I want to know what was going through your mind when you meet a client for the first time.
Well, it was really lovely to meet you in particular because you are very, I said this to you, I said, oh, you're like a light. That was like my first impression of you. You were sparkly and fun. And so we basically chatted about my process, some of the things that maybe you could possibly add to your wardrobe and things that you liked. And it's a lot of time spent just chatting with someone more. For me, that's the most important part because that's going to be translated into what I'm designing for you. I remember in particular an evening gown that we made for you. And I think you and I both loved, I think it was Rainy Midnight. It was a painting by Childe Hassam. And it was a lot of shades of blue and it went from light blue to almost midnight navy black. And the way we translated that into your finished dress was I think we used a black chantilly and I used midnight navy caviar sized beads to pick up that dark navy and some ribbon work. So we had that, it was very subtle, but we picked up, that painting as a dress. I mean, I don't think anyone would see the correlation, but we felt it through the whole process. So that was our inspiration, I remember. And then I think several sketches for you until we came up with one where you love the asymmetrical neckline. The second part of it, of course, is to do a toile. So we did a couple of those until we got the exact silhouette. Then the pieces are sent off for embroidery and you came in for fittings. And all the while we chatted about all kinds of things. So for me, it's a really fun process. And the finished dress, I mean, you have to say you looked really beautiful in it.
It's a gorgeous dress. I've worn it several times to different occasions. And every single time people look and say, wow, what is that? I remember wearing it to the ballet gala here in Atlanta. And Doug Weiss, who was one of the chairs that year, he's very fashionable here in the Atlanta area. And he just looked me up and down like with huge eyes and said, wow, that's amazing. And I said, well, it was couture and I had it made just for me. And he said, of course you did.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice to hear. That's such a nice compliment. But, I think the reason they said wow was because it was collaborative.
Yeah, that's what I love about our process together, all the things that we've made. I have so many ideas in my head and I think, oh, I would love that, but what would it look like on me? And then you have that designer's eye to say, okay, the waist, maybe not I think one time we talked about a waistband that cut me in half straight across was not the most flattering. So nothing I have from you has any kind of a waistband, but yet it's pulled in with your couture techniques of creating what looks like a waist on me. So
Well, you have a waist. I think that I know that for most of yours, we were going for like a linear, a more,
yes, I want to be tall.
you are.
I'm 5'6", I think, right now, depending on good day or bad. But I want to be 6 feet tall.
Right.
It's my dream to be 6 feet tall. All legs, right?
You seem tall to me, but and I was thinking back on a lot of what we did, and I tend to do strong shoulder lines on you too. I don't. It's almost like a vintagey feel to all the pieces that I've done for you.
Very Joan Crawford.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because you're a very modern woman, but we like that romanticism. I think when we were, we kept going back to that. I think in all the pieces. So. Right. You're fun to work with. I think it's interesting when clients come in because it's like a new story that I get to be part of.
Right. Right. And another thing I love to talk to you about is designers that inspire you. We've had many, many, many conversations about people in the industry you look up to, you inspire. For example, Ralph Rucci, who is in the US, who is a master at that little embellishment, just like yours, that means so much to the piece. What is it about his designs that really attract you, inspire you?
Oh, I think he's a true artist for sure. And if you look in his pieces, he is an artist who designs pieces. It's almost like he's an artist first, and it's a lifestyle actually that shows up in your work.
Right.
I just love I love all the handwork, and I love the women that and men who he employed to do French knots, and there's tremendous amount of handwork. I mean, it's something that you really aren't going to have a lot of pieces of that, but they're coveted pieces, and so I think he's just one of the best in the U.S. I mean, obviously, going back to French designers, Balenciaga, and all of the great designers in France, where fashion kind of got its start.
Right. Balenciaga, Dior, Yves Saint Laurent, Givenchy, Givenchy,
and Balmain. They're all of them are, next level. And the original designers to those companies were Givenchy, such a gentleman too, as well. I mean, I kind of think that all of us as designers, our personality comes forward in the work that we do. In particular, and he's not French, but I love Brunello Cucinelli. I love everything about the way he runs his company, his aesthetic, how he cares for the people who do things for him. I mean, all of that is my passion. I'm small, but I try to keep those things in the forefront when I'm.
Cucinelli is brilliant with cashmere and wools and that sparkly, that little touch of sparkle. And he's really taken care of the town that he lives in, Solomeo, Italy. Solomeo. Yeah. I mean, that's such a dream. I wish.
They all work for him, essentially. So, and the thing I love about him too is he's globally conscious, which is something that's really at the forefront of what I'm doing now as well. I mean, he cares about the future of the planet and people and humanity, and that's so important. I mean, otherwise fashion becomes, I think, out of touch with for me, with what's really meaningful now. I mean, you always want to make people happy and make beautiful things, but for me, I think there has to be that human touch and a care for the world. Right. It's not brain surgery, but in a small little way.
It's sustainability, the couture way.
Yeah.
And honestly,
you're not going to throw it away. I mean, it's not fast fashion, so that's a help. And,
right.
Here lately, because of COVID, I've gotten really creative. I've started to see what I have on hand and try to see what I can do, couture, what kind of pieces can I create with what I've already got without buying new fabrics or materials. And that's been kind of fun. It's like, a nice challenge for me.
That's great. That's an amazing challenge. Yeah. I love that. I love that. Hey, let's pivot, the word of the year from last year. You and I like to talk about coffee quite a
Mm,
bit. And because this is Cafe with Grace, tell
mhm.
me, what are you drinking? What kind of coffee are you drinking?
Well, I'm always I'm always on a mission to try different things. And so they're always organic and they're always non-GMO. And today it's just an organic grocery store brand that I got at Whole Foods, but I actually love it. But my big find is that I'm doing frothed oat milk and
Ooh.
and it's really, really good. So
Ooh.
that's kind of my thing. And if I'm in a hurry, I buy a lot of things from Nespresso because you can recycle the pods in the coffee and they're very good to the coffee growers.
Ah, that's good to
So
know.
yeah, they it's almost like microloans and they care for the workers, so it's fair trade.
Hmm.
A lot of what I am thinking about now is going to keep going back in that direction. It's like
Hmm.
even with what I'm eating and doing and drawing and painting, and it's all seems to be my focus
Hmm.
this year.
Hmm.
But that's what I'm doing. How about you? What you always have
Oh, I
coffee?
have my typical black coffee from Kona. It's a Kona coffee bean, and I use my Jura coffee maker that I've
Oh
had
yeah. I,
for it since two that we got it for our 19th wedding anniversary, and we're coming up on 30 this year.
that's a good
Wah!
coffee maker.
Yeah,
I
I
know
know.
coffee at your house is good, and you do the best froth milk of
Oh
anybody.
yeah, that's right. I have that frother that we love. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I loved it when you would come up. Not only are you a couturier, you have an eye for interior design.
Mhm.
And my office, I
Mhm.
credit the beauty and tranquility here in my office to you, because
Oh,
and I
thanks.
look at everything we did together
Yeah,
and I'm so pleased with how it came out. It's a little messy right now. I probably could use a straightening up,
that's
but
because you're working. You're a working girl. That's the
I'm
key.
working from home so much more now.
Yeah, yeah. I've been painting. I paint at home.
Mhm.
I have a small easel that I paint at home, and I can draw at home.
Yeah,
But
you part of your website is also your painting too. And
Mhm.
when you click through to the artist side, you have paintings for sale and beautiful note cards.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
fashion ones and painting ones.
Yeah,
So
I know I've said for years I would love all of your drawings in a set of note cards and
well, you may have that soon. Yeah, this too can be yours.
I like it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So, oh, wow. Well, what's next for Marie DeGeorge? Tell me where you're going in 2021.
Well, circling back to that, trying to use what I have, I was thinking about, there were not many people are doing events, obviously, because we're all kind of in somewhat lockdown. But people want to feel safe and cozy. So I'm using my fabrics to do some large wraps. That'll be some woven, some that maybe have my motifs hand painted along the edge, something that'll be a little different than what you could find. And hopefully, I have some cashmere that I'm going to use, some linen. So I'm going to always have those, and they'll be part of the collection if they're, hopefully once we come out the other end of this, I'll be able to start that little small collection of pieces for
Mhm.
people.
So you're going
Uh,
to start with wraps, but then eventually you'd like to do the
five after five.
five after five. That's what it was, right?
Mhm.
Five after
Yeah,
five.
and the wraps will they will go with the pieces that are like
Oh,
everything will go with everything again, so you don't have to buy a lot of things, which that's kind of the Parisian way, as you know. Like you don't buy a lot of things, but you buy top quality things.
hmm.
And if you're buying a beautiful black blazer, you're going to buy the best top-notch quality that you can get, and you're going to wear it for years with over a gown or over your jeans and a t-shirt. So
Hmm.
that's the same concept. So it'll be my little five after five version, maybe a beautiful pant, a jacket, a few skirts, and some dresses,
I
and
love
then
it.
the wraps will be the artistic
Mm.
sort of pairing. So
Hmm.
I hope that's the goal anyway. We'll
Oh,
see.
I think a wrap is a fantastic way to start because you're right. We're not going anywhere. There's no events, but we're sitting here on Zoom calls or we're sitting next to a fireplace reading a book in our pajamas, and a
Yeah.
beautiful wrap around those pajamas just makes you feel so elegant. I love
Yeah,
that.
it makes you feel and happy. I think that's the key, and everybody, even during the Great Depression in America in the 20s, women still bought flapper dresses. They still bought something to cheer them up, and they managed to get their hair done or something, that you, or put on a little lipstick or something that makes you feel happy. I mean, otherwise we're stuck in our sweats just.
I can't imagine Marie DeGeorge in sweats.
Yeah.
I feel like you've worn you always look like a couturier with the black sweater, black skirt, sometimes black trousers, your pearls, and just beautifully elegant. So tell me now. I promise it won't go any further.
What I wear at home?
Do you wear sweats?
I have these really nice drawstring knit. They're like sweats, but they're from Mallow, and I wear those on the bottom, and I wear really soft white t-shirts on the top.
Okay, all right, that's your version of sweats.
It's kind of nice, and some socks, and I'm happy. So, yeah.
Birkenstocks or no?
No. No socks. No.
Just socks.
Yeah, just socks. I tried those. I just, they don't feel right on me, but they're good for you.
They're good for you. And if you get the kind that are lined with the fleece, that white fleecy fur, yeah, they're very comfortable, I have to confess. But yeah, that's so great. I can't wait to see your collection of wraps, and I can't wait to see your collection of 5 after 5. Maybe we should do a wrap inspired by my white coat. Let's just for one quick minute while we wrap up here, talk about that white coat that you made for me that I wore during Paris Fashion Week, September of 2018, I believe it was.
Yes. Oh, that was such a fun collaboration. And that's on my website as well, under separates, if anybody wants to see a sketch or more info about it, but it's on the website under separates. You were going to go to some of the shows, and you didn't, and you wanted to make sure that you felt like you could stand out a bit,
Yes, because during Paris Fashion Week, especially ready to wear, there are a lot of peacocks, a lot of posers, and it's really beautiful to look at, but I never feel like I wanted to be that person. I wanted to be the fashion editor, the Emmanuelle Alt of Vogue France, where she shows up in black skinny jeans and a black top with a white blazer over it. And that was our inspiration.
Yeah. Well, and we wanted, as our trademark, to do some embroidery or some kind of detail at the bottom. So what I did was I took a fleur-de-lis, I drew a big fleur-de-lis and chopped it up and reassembled it. So you when you read the embroidery at the bottom of your coat, you would never read fleur-de-lis, but really you could piece all of that together and they would be big repeating fleur-de-lis.
Right.
And then I wanted some texture, so we did woven organza bits, little pieces that we added, and tiny little black jet beads and French sequins. And
right. And the organza you frayed so it looks like a feather, but it's not as delicate as a feather. I love that.
And we did it on white cashmere wool blend and lined it with silk charmeuse. So, I remember seeing you wear that with I think you did I don't know if it was faux fur, but you did a fur collar.
Yes.
It made a whole new look with that coat. It was
right. I still have that. That's I forgot that I have that collar. It's a vintage fur, unfortunately, for those of you who are against fur. It's real fur. It's real fox, I believe, but it is vintage. I only buy vintage, but it does really bump up that coat.
It changes it completely. How many different ways what have you worn under it?
I've worn it with a little black dress. I've worn it with black jeans and a black t-shirt. I usually pick something black to wear underneath it because black is my go-to. But leather pants and motorcycle boots and a black sweater. I mean, really it's so versatile, but it's that piece that just it's couture. It truly is couture. I just love that. And we did a photo shoot recently with that jacket, and I believe it's on my social media. You can see it on Instagram.
You look beautiful. You look beautiful.
Thanks.
You're very photogenic.
Here in my office. Thank you. Wow. Well, Marie, is there anything else? Let's tell our audience that you can go to Marie, www.mariedegeorgedesign.com
Or
to
and if you
find.
want to find fashion, it's
Mhm.
more of a brochure site because there's really nothing to sell. When the collection is done, there'll be places to get that, but that's just coming. It's still a coming soon thing. And then Marie DeGeorge Art to
Mhm.
see fashion drawings and paintings and anything else I get up to
I
these
love
days.
it. I love it. And you're on Facebook and
I
Instagram.
know.
So
Can you
if
believe I'm
anybody,
property?
I just can't believe that. I'm still blown away by that. But
I'm a little late to the party, but I got there.
you're there and it's beautiful. It's so great. It's such a great representation of you and your brand and
And
you as a
Instagram,
person.
and
Mhm.
Instagram as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So,
I love it. I love it. I'm so excited for you, and I can't wait to see where you get to go next. Your journey
oh,
is such a lovely one. It's slow and steady, but so worth the wait. Pretty good.
about French women and
So, Marie, tell me about style. I love to talk about fashion versus style. Tell me what you think epitomizes style.
well, and and let's talk about French style in particular and French women in particular because I think it's different from here in many ways. But again, I think it's I know from a lot of the friends that I have who are French, they don't wear a lot of makeup. Their skincare is their number one thing, and they start at a very young age to taking care of their skin. They use beautiful brands, and they're also taught not to buy a lot of things, to buy top quality, wear it for years, and because they tend to stay thin and healthy as well. They're not excessive, and I love it. And the other thing I noticed too, from the few times that I've been there and in Italy, there's a different carriage, the way women are. There's the way they walk, and and they might not be size 2, which we get obsessed about here in the States. They're all different sizes and shapes, but they walk with their head up, they walk with their eyes forward, and there's a natural elegance and femininity that I
Mhm.
notice. Do you notice that too about
Absolutely. And
this?
it's not they're not covered in labels, but
Mhm.
you know what they have, what they possess
Mhm.
is high quality and
Mhm.
as high quality as they can afford. They don't
Yes.
run out and max out their credit cards to buy the latest, but
Mhm.
a lot
Mhm.
of times their handbags are inherited from their mother or their grandmother, and it's a beautiful leather handbag but
Yeah.
no giant name across the front of it.
I mean, I can say from my own mom, my parents came through the Depression years in the United States, but mom had a natural elegance to her, and she would always wear one piece of jewelry on maybe the shoulder of her blazer, and she always put on a little lipstick, but she was very classic.
Hmm.
And I think that, that's a very European characteristic, I
Right.
think.
I
So
love that.
yeah, so I did. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. So.
Yeah, style versus elegance, and
Mhm.
especially French style. I
Yes,
love a French
definitely.
woman's style.
And another thing too, it's a lifestyle. It's like taking time to go to a cafe,
Right.
taking time to read a book. Everything's it's more about living life, I think, there
Mhm.
than rushing. We're rush around here, don't you find?
I was just going to say that with no matter what fashion, lifestyle, anything, we're rushing to the next big thing.
Mhm.
Whereas in France, it's you're in your lane and you stay there and you're happy and exude confidence from that lane.
I mean, did you find that you sat at the cafes and had a coffee and with your book? Did you do that in a yeah, and
Oh,
just take in the
favorite
scenery?
thing to do.
Yeah,
Absolutely favorite
yeah,
thing to do is to sit at a cafe with my coffee and my phone or camera and take pictures
yeah.
of the people just walking by. It's so amazing.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think, lastly, if there's anything good about this past year, because it's been different, there's been that has a lot that's been tricky for most people. But if there is a good thing that's come out of it, it has forced people to slow down and to take time to have a conversation with each other, to reassess what's important. So maybe that is something good that's going to carry on.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I'm glad we had this chance to chat.
Thanks.
Thank you for joining us at the Café with Grace. If you want to know more about finding hidden gems, go to hiddengemswithgrace.com and subscribe to our newsletter, or join us on our next trip as we explore more hidden gems with Grace.